Hello everybody, we're doing a spotlight video here with Rob Hope. We're in Maple Ridge and I'm absolutely thrilled to do this video with you, Rob.
And thanks so much for including me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Rob, in my opinion, you're one of the greatest unsung heroes in Canadian tattooing. And your work has always stuck in my mind. You're looking at your drawings and your tattoos, you see how much effort you put into the work, and
thanks.
It really shows. It reads so clearly that your dedication. So and I think you're certainly a main component in the Canadian history. So
thank you.
I appreciate you doing this.
And thanks for doing the show, because this is super important stuff too, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I was thinking too as well, not only is it great to record all their history, but for us, we're going to be looking back on it in 10 years just to remember our own history. So this is going to come in handy both ways, for future people and for ourselves.
Yeah.
Just trying to remember everything's getting a little trickier.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the main purpose is to create a set of books, but these videos that I do, it's like the project is documenting history and it's also creating history.
Right.
It's kind of cool to document it and create it at the same time. So that's pretty neat. If we go back to your earliest memories, and I ask everybody this because sometimes the stories and how it sets the stage of the interview is interesting.
Been a kid at school that had a big tattoo that was like pretty impressive.
And when you saw those in the kid in school, did it sort of track in your mind that you wanted to get one, or how did you end up getting your first tattoo?
I got my first tattoo just by doing it myself. So I went to a pretty rough school. I kind of fell into tattooing accidentally, illegitimately. I didn't plan on being a tattooer or anything. We just went to a school, and there was older kids there that had homemade tattoo equipment.
Okay.
And I had a friend, Evan, who was an electrical genius, and he saw the tattoo machine from a distance and was like, I can make one. And so he made the first tattoo machine. I was always kind of like the school artist, and so of course it ended up in my hands. And then we just started tattooing each other. No plans on being a tattooer, or not even any knowledge of the tattoo world when I got into it. So it's just something that we did. That was probably like 1988 or 1989. We'd been like 15 or 16.
Okay.
And so it wasn't until after high school that it became a little bit more serious.
Yeah. And did you do quite a few of those tattoos?
No, I didn't do too many because it was incredibly difficult. We're talking about the Walkman motor with a guitar string and Indian ink, and it was a nightmare to do tattoos, but some of them turned out okay. So I would tattoo maybe once a month or something like that. And then slowly the tattoos kind of got bigger, and then eventually it led to real equipment.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get your first set of real equipment?
There was another kid in town that I was tattooing, and he decided, this would have been 1994.
Okay.
He decided he's going to get his mom's credit card and buy a Spalding kit, and he did it. And eventually he still owed her money, and he gave up. He found out that you kind of need to know how to draw the tattoos, so he ended up selling it to us, as in me and my friends. Everyone pitched in. We didn't have any money or anything, right? So everyone pitched in and paid the remainder of that credit card debt to his mom, and then we got the Spalding kit.
Okay.
And then from there it became a little bit more real.
Yeah. And so was it a bit of a struggle to whose house the tattoo gun, the kit would be at?
Yeah, of course. It was a struggle. I mean, it was a struggle the first line you did with that equipment, because it was like, with the single needle stuff, you kind of shade things together. You don't go in and do a proper outline with that, right? Because they just kind of blow out. So having that equipment was like, whoa, okay, this is pretty serious. No, there was no shortage of kitchens. We tattooed a lot in like the field of the local high school, or there was a Value Village in town that had a light on 24/7, so sometimes we'd go uptown and just tattoo under that light.
Okay.
All sorts of dark and dirty places.
Sure, yeah. And how long before doing your tattoos now with the machine, was it starting to take root? Like, you're really enjoying this, you want to take it further, you're wanting to be serious about this? Or?
Yeah. So after a few hard-working jobs, I realized that tattooing could be something that I would want to get into for sure. And I looked at, I attempted to call some tattoo shops, and you just get the door slammed on you, of course, right? So I called Dutchman at one point, and I just got hung up on. And I went into Thomas Lockhart's shop one time, and I got kicked out of there pretty quickly. That was a scary...
I bet.
I mean, I'm stupid, right? I was a stupid kid. I think I was like 17, and I went in and asked him what type of Indian ink he uses. Because back then we knew it's Pelikan. It's a certain number of Pelikan. That's when we're kids in high school. Like we'd use the Indian ink in high school. Totally toxic color stuff, like any ink. In the beginning, we'd even like melt the ink out of a Bic pen and use it, right? Like my first tattoo was just Bic pen, melted ink, and a needle. And so... trying to discover what was the right Indian ink, I went in there and asked him, and he slammed his fist on the counter, and ink bottles bounced everywhere, and got ushered out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, and then I realized also, I had a friend go into the Dutchman and get a really good tattoo. He got a proper tattoo, and he mentioned that to the artist that his friend was tattooing, and he said, send him down, we'll break his arms. That was the first, like, okay. And he was serious. The tattoo was silent for the rest of the tattoo. So that was a great thing, because that made me really realize, like, don't be telling anyone you're tattooing. Just tattoo your friends and keep it low and work away at it. And it wasn't until I had a mutual friend, Chantel, who knew Adam Sky at Sacred Heart, and that would have been 1995. And so she introduced us, and he hired me, and that's where it began.
Yeah. Okay. I remember taking red Indian ink and tattooing my hand, and it like kept bubbling up.
Yeah.
It's like there was something bad in there. For months and
But
years.
when you're young, you don't care, right? You're like, you're getting a tattoo. It's so exciting.
It was.
That's going to be there forever. Yeah, it's cool.
So when this break with Adam came through for you, like that must have been like just mind-blowing for you.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing, and it was so glad that he came along, because when he opened, it was all strictly biker run back then, right? It was, you could not open a tattoo shop and you didn't tattoo out of your backyard. You know, people would break your arms. There was cutting your thumbs off, or all these crazy stories of retaliation for anyone tattooing out of their backyard. So Adam was the first guy to actually open a shop, and he went all the way out into Point Grey, staying off everyone's toes, and he did take some lumps. He got a little bit of a beating, I think, and
he told me about,
it's his story. I'm sure he'll tell you his story.
No, he told me, and they took a club and they were just wailing on his arm. And luckily for him, his arm never broke, but the guy was trying to break his arm with this club.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So he definitely paved the way for all of us. And the great thing with going there was, I mean, maybe something would have happened somewhere else, but Sacred Heart at the West End of Vancouver was just like, all cultural diversity existed in that end of town. Mm-hmm. So artistically, there could not have been a better place to go work, because there was every walk of life, every sort of art coming in there. So it was a real great opportunity to end up there, for sure.
That's right. And I've seen some old photos of you in the Sacred Heart days, and you know, it was kind of neat to look back and see you in your infancy.
Yeah,
tattooing.
Infancy, exactly.
It was certainly a shop that like you say, it paved the way for a lot of people, and opened up the floodgates for more artists to come through.
For sure. And the other guys that worked there, of course, were totally awesome, and everyone came from different walks of life, and new school tattooing was just kind of coming in as well, or was in, you know, so it was like, that was the best place that I could have ended up. Super grateful for that. That was cool.
It was 94 that you were at Sacred Heart?
I started there March 15th, the Ides of March, 1995. That was my first day of tattooing.
All right.
Yeah, a pretty scary day. That's not a day I'll ever forget.
Okay, so who was in the shop at that?
At that time, it was Trent Perret.
Okay.
Trent was there, Sean Headley, Chad Woodley, Dave Nicholson.
Okay.
Those were the guys that I started with, and Adam Sky, of course. And so, I, of course, didn't know anything when I went there. I went there with a portfolio that was, as I said, it was only half the stuff I did. The other half of the stuff just didn't make the portfolio. Yeah. So it was a real tough learning curve at first. Mm-hmm. So I picked up a lot from those guys. I learned more there on the first day than I did all the years tattooing out of my house.
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what was the program they were running? Like, how did your apprenticeship go?
It wasn't an apprenticeship. I just showed up with a portfolio, and I had some good bigger tattoos already, and so he just hired me as a tattooer.
Okay.
But I'm sure after the first day it became clear that I had the first day was like it was March 15th, so I believe it was spring break, and there was the University of British Columbia campus, and it was like you could tattoo all night basically. The first day I went there, I did 5 tattoos, which is more than I would do in a month any other time, right? So it was quite overwhelming. And it was like a scorpion and an eagle and a yin yang. I'm pretty comfortable with those ones. And then I did a Celtic knot, which was just straight line, simple Celtic knot, and I had never done anything like that. And that one was a super challenge. That was the real sweating, like half an hour in, still trying to build up the line to make it look clean and neat. And that was a pretty freaky day.
Yeah, I bet. And so how long did you end up staying at Sacred Heart?
I was there for about a year and a half. March 15th to the end of the following summer in 96, probably August or September I left.
And what are some of the biggest points, like things that you took away from that time in the shop?
Well, I learned something from everybody for sure. And I mean, working with Trent Perry in particular was a real eye-opener, because he was just an intense tattooer, like could sit down for 6 hours and pound out a big piece. So I got to see like some serious heavyweight tattooing going on, and I like that work ethic, so I kind of wanted to emulate that a little bit. And yeah, just working hard was pretty cool.
Yeah. Trent's name has come up so many times. He is one person I haven't interviewed yet, so I'm really hopeful to get under his nose. I know he doesn't really like to be put himself
probably not
out there, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to. Well, hopefully I can catch him. So after this time at Sacred Heart, what was the catalyst for leaving, or what came to you?
It was so much fun to work there with those guys, but at the end of that summer, Trent had left and actually already gone to work with the Dutchman, and he sent a guy down, his friend Todd, to check. I guess maybe John had seen some of my work, or maybe Trent recommended me, but Todd came down to look at my portfolio, and he wanted to take it to show John, and so, which we couldn't do, of course, but I knew that John was interested. And at the end of that summer, because back then, it's different than today. Back then, summer was like fishing. Like you could tattoo all night. As summer, everyone wanted to get tattooed. So I worked my way into pure tendonitis by the end of that summer, and I actually couldn't work. So I ended up quitting. I felt the pressure of that, of having to tattoo with all these people coming in, but not being able to. And that was a little bit different. That was at a point in time where Adam had already sold the shop, and he sold it to Blair and Glenn. And so, with that, I decided that I would quit, and I took some time off, knowing that hopefully maybe I'll get the job with John, and I met him shortly afterwards, and it happened.
And so your first initial meeting with John, how did that go? Do you remember?
That was great and terrible at the same time. So I went out to meet him at his shop on 20th Street, and I got off at the wrong SkyTrain station, and I hate being late for anything, and I'm off at the wrong SkyTrain station. It's another 10 blocks away, so I just decided to run as fast as I could to try and make it there. And I think I made it on time, but when I showed up, I was just soaked in sweat and awkward, and I was super nervous to meet him, but it went super. I hadn't met him before or even seen him. I was expecting more of like a Dave Shore kind of guy, like a big biker with brass knuckles or something, but he was super mellow. Actually really reminded me of my woodwork teacher from high school, who was like my favorite teacher kind of thing. So right away I felt like, wow, okay, this is like super cool. Felt pretty comfortable with it, and they put me on a trial basis at first, and that was it. Never left for a long time.
Yeah, I can only imagine what would be going through your mind meeting him for the first time, and you're applying to work at a shop. Yeah, that would be pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was. And the first day there, of course, was pretty nerve-wracking too, but
walk me through that.
Good. First day there, I believe my first day there, I was with Trent, and I tattooed my friend Alistair, and I did a big octopus on his butt, like his whole ass. And right before that, Trent was like, "Oh, we don't tattoo butts here, man." He was just fucking with me, but I thought it was serious, and I was like, "Oh shit," because Alistair's got to drop trowel right down to do this one. But no, of course it was cool. And of course I brought a couple friends for the first one, so I could work my way in without being too nervous,
Sure, yeah. And when you did your first tattoos, was John hanging around? Did he come in and check it out?
Yeah, John always had a way of just kind of walking by and checking things out, you know. He wouldn't really stand and hover or anything, but yeah, he'd always keep an eye on things.
True, yeah. And did he have any critiques for you day one?
I wouldn't say day one. I don't remember any of that, but throughout the rest of the years, definitely, yeah. That was one thing that you could rely on with John, was always an honest critique. You know, a lot of people are like, that looks great. You know, you hear that a lot, but to actually get the honest critique, like, this could be a little off, this composition could be like that. He was really good at working with us on those elements of drawing and tattooing, which was super cool. So it worked out great, really, because I got to have a mentorship through him, you know, with him being, it was kind of like my tattoo dad in a way. I felt like I fit into the role of being a student when I worked there with him.
Yeah. And what did you think of how John was critiquing you as time rolled on? Because I know some people, it was hard for them to hear that. Like, John's instruction would always be good.
Yeah.
But it was hard to get that feedback sometimes, or...
Yeah, that might depend, I guess, on your ego, or maybe how far along you are. And you know, if someone's already been tattooing for 15 years, they might actually take that a little bit more differently, you know?
Yeah.
Like I probably would too if I was working and someone with only a little bit of experience critiqued my work. I might be like, what are you talking about? But yeah, so that dynamic worked out great for pretty much all of us there. Like once I was joined Dutchman, it was the 20th Street, Trent was there, and then Kerry Irvine was there. He'd already been tattooing for quite a while, of course. Super notable tattooer, Kerry Irvine. And then, of course, Clint Danroth, Louise Blackstone, Ryan Halter. We were all young and eager. Dustin Croach, he showed up there as well. So we were all young and eager and ready to learn, and it was just the perfect time and the perfect place. So that dynamic totally worked between us and John. It was pretty cool. Yeah, there was never any offense taken, I don't think, by any critiques. It was, welcome to have, for sure.
Yeah. Well, when I just popped in for a quick couple-week guest spot, and when John would look at my drawings, I wanted that. I wanted it so bad because, like I knew that I was with a master artist, I wanted to grow and learn. So I would bring my artwork and say, hey, what do you think of this? Knowing that he's going to rip it apart. But my work grew in such...
And did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Cool. Yeah. I was thinking there, if he didn't, that might be a bad sign. If he was like, oh, no, that might be a bad sign, but that's good that he did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He would sit down and show me all the things I did wrong, and he'd say, oh, no, the setup's all wrong. And then he'd redraw my drawing, and then he'd show me why his was right and mine was wrong, and then he'd say, do something like that.
Right. He would do a layover of your drawing kind of thing. Yeah, the famous layovers. That was like...
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to do exactly that and tell everyone I drew it. He'd say, oh, Ned. He'd just shake his head.
We couldn't do that because he'd see that we did it, right? Of course, you have to kind of make it your own a little bit. But yeah, that was a cool thing with Dutchman too. Coming from Sacred Heart, which had so many cool artistic opportunities, to the place where art was the main focus of tattooing. So that was a pretty cool thing with meeting up with John, where other shops it wouldn't be, the main thing.
And it's interesting how you went from Sacred Heart and you would have been just tattooing like crazy, so you're kind of building up your chops, and then you get to Dutchman, and now you're going to really fine tune your artwork.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your fondest memories of the beginning stages of your time at the Dutchman?
I loved how busy it was. I really enjoyed actually back then when things got crazy and when things ran behind even, or you're working till like 9 o'clock. I really thought tattooing would be like, like comic book artists where they could draw something easily, anything. Like I really liked being able to draw whatever came in the door if you could. And we got to kind of embrace that there because it got super, super busy. Mm-hmm. And it was fun I liked that. I liked that pressure. I liked that pressure the whole way through.
Yeah.
Up until I left and got a private studio, and then it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I like that now.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, the pace of the place was really cool. Mm-hmm. Meeting all the other artists that came through was super cool as well.
Now, were you doing a lot of freehand work before you went to the Dutchman?
Yeah, so Sacred Heart was a custom shop with a little bit of flash. And so we did lots of drawing there. Yeah, it was a custom shop, so we're doing a lot of that. And then Dutchman was no flash, all custom.
But like, I mean, where you're just drawing it on the skin, the client sits down, you draw it on.
Yeah, I did my first freehand piece at Dutchman. I do remember that one. Before that, it would start with, you're going to change and alter the background or add in some cherry blossoms or, manipulate it to fit the body better before you take that first step on drawing it on and then realizing, you could draw something on and take a trace and then go do that. But you get to the point where you draw it on, you're like, we can tattoo this right now. And that's the first step where you're like, you do your first freehand tattoo, which is pretty cool.
Because you did a lot of that at the Dutchman, did you not? Like just
a little bit, yeah. It would most often be transferring on a main image and then making changes. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, how long were you at the Dutchman's for?
Almost 13 years. I was there from 2009. I was there from 1996 to 2009.
Okay.
And that would have been two shops. There was the old shop on 20th Street, and then I can't remember what year the new shop opened, but you would have been at the new shop in 2008, I believe.
That's right?
Yeah, I wish I knew that date.
Oh, I know.
Did you ever see the old shop?
No, I never went in there.
Oh, really?
I'd never even been to Vancouver at that time.
Yeah. So the old shop really lent to the intensity as well, because it was tiny. I think in the beginning it was only like 400 or 500 square feet.
Yeah.
And so you were packed in there, and it was excruciatingly hot in the summer and cold in the winter. But in the summer, it was so hot, people would be passing out sometimes would be contagious in a small room.
Yeah.
So it got really intense there with the heat, and eventually he killed a hallway and added in a third station, and then eventually went into the neighboring suite with a drawing room. But it was a really tight, intense, crazy place. And so when we got to the new shop that you visited, that was like the castle of tattoo shops, right? It was, everyone had their own workstation with their own little library and desk, and so that was a great thing about the second shop, was having all of a sudden all this elbow room and the art gallery downstairs, and it was pretty cool.
Because you were in the back left corner.
Yes.
That was always the spot.
If we were facing it, I would have been far left against the wall there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, I'm left-handed. I can see all my comrades and.
Okay. So that's why you had that booth.
Yeah, I think so.
I was in like a closet cubbyhole, the far right side.
Right. Yeah.
Ian Jana, I can never pronounce his name.
Jansen Van Beek.
Jansen Van Beek.
I think.
Yeah.
We can edit
Something
that,
like
right?
that.
Jansen Van Beek. Yeah. Ian Jansen Van Beek.
Yeah, he was tattooing here, and then I was in this little cubbyhole, and yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, the cubbyhole, and sometimes there was two people in that one, right? That was super tight.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Ian, and then I was on the other side.
If they put me over there, I maybe would have been less distracting for everyone else. Actually, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
It could be back to everybody, but
well, who would have been the most distracting guy in there?
I don't think any one of us would be more distracting than the other, but I think when Ryan and I were together, it was a big group distraction.
Okay.
There was a couple times I worked, Clint was beside me, and then Ryan, and there was sometimes we couldn't even make eye contact without laughing. I was worried about that if he came here today.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where Clint actually shut the doors on us, because there were doors that could divide the station if you wanted, and we got shut down a couple times there.
Okay, I would have thought you would say Dave Nicholson, because that guy was hilarious.
No. If Dave was going on a rant of some kind, for sure, we're all involved. Everyone's going to be involved.
I remember the one day I was there, and right in the middle of everybody's buzzing away, and it's pretty quiet. Everybody's focused, and Dave yells, "These are the fucking good old days!" I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, a very, very animated character. Hey, it's really funny.
And did you ever travel with to conventions or anything like that?
Yeah, I didn't do that so much later in life, but I think our first convention I went to was with Sacred Heart, and that I believe was 1996 Seattle, or 95, or the first Seattle tattoo convention, and that was incredibly eye-opening, of course, right? Because now new school tattooing's here, right? The tattoos that were there were crazy. Mm-hmm. Crazy stuff. So, and then after that, I think the next one for me would have been Toronto 2000, which I believe was the first Toronto convention.
Okay.
And that's where I started to meet a lot of the Canadian tattooers, like Jesse Young, who I worked with later. Saskatoon, I'm mixing up dates here, but Toronto and Saskatoon, got to meet all of the Canadian guys, all
Sure,
the Calgary
yeah.
guys. It's those were like, that's where I think all of our camaraderie began for us Canadian guys of our era.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I did later, like I did a tattoo convention in Munich in Germany. That would be 2001.
Okay.
And that was just by myself. That's after I met my wife, who's from Germany, and John had hooked that up with Tattoo Shoney, who was putting on the convention, and he just gave a call, and Tattoo Shoney let me tattoo beside him in the booth, and that was really cool. Germany was super cool.
I bet, yeah. And so another thing that sticks out in my mind is the revolving door of guest artists coming in and out of the Dutchman. What guests stand out to you? Obviously, I didn't. You didn't remember me.
Yeah, I would have been in the corner with shit buzzing away. You know, it's like it was very, very hectic there at times.
Just
people
messing
could come
with
through
you.
and
I'm just messing with you. No, but like it'd be kind of a blur, I would think, because so many people had come and did guest spots, from what I understand.
yeah.
Like so. Who,
And I'm not going to try and remember them all right now because
not
I'm
all
going to
of them.
forget somebody.
No,
But
what is there any ones that stand out? And there'll be ones that stood out, but it just doesn't come up a bit.
yeah, I mean, one of the first guests at the old shop that came around quite regularly would be Cliff Clayton, who was a super great tattooer from Australia.
Okay.
And then, of course, later on, meeting Mauricio was, I'd say, the most memorable one for me.
Yeah.
That was like, and I regret deeply that I didn't get tattooed from him.
Okay.
But we had to kind of set it up beforehand, right? Because he's obviously going to be busy, and I'm like, I want to meet him first, because if he's a total asshole, if he's, I don't want to get tattooed. But of course, he's a super, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And meeting him was probably, I think, the biggest deal, because he was one of the best illustrators, probably one of my biggest influences, and I would even say John as well.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest influences with his illustrative skills that guy had. Like when I went to Europe, every single tattoo shop was just wall-to-wall plastered with his custom
his
flash,
flash,
right?
yeah.
It was like, that was he was like the Frazetta of tattooing, basically. And so meeting him was super cool.
Yeah, like I
And Trevor
remember-
McStay, I'm just trying to slowly,
yeah.
meeting Trevor McStay, another like just a clinic of tattooing, looking at that guy's work and being able to see him work was super cool. And then a lot of other artists, that came, I'm just trying to think here who else came through. Of course, there was many, right? This is what I said I didn't want to do, because I know I won't remember them all.
And no, that's fine, but like, how could you remember? I just was curious, like a few people that kind of graze your mind and because just to give people a sense of who was coming in that shop, because there was so many.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and some just walked through too. Like you said, it was a whirlwind, right? There's people out front. You got, our counter girls relaying messages to you, you're working. And then I remember that one day, I'm super busy drawing this dragon that I have to do, and all of a sudden there's Gil Monty and Thomas Lockhart just walking through, and it's like, So
Yeah.
there was a lot of appearances like that kind of happened, which were also really, you see the people in magazines and everything, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, standing right there.
Yeah. And that had to have lent to your tattooing in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, for sure. For one, you're always on your toes. You never know who's going to be looking over your shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm. So Theo Jack, he was in and out a few times.
Yeah, Theo Jack came and did a couple guest spots, and he was like a real traditional tattooer. Like whatever came in, he could do as well, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a bit of a storyteller and a cool personality, I saw him as well at a tattoo convention in Germany afterwards, and he could really run a booth,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Had his systems down pretty tight.
Yeah.
I remember when Mike Austin went out to the Dutchman.
Mike Austin? Jeez, yeah. There's another one.
He said, like, Mike told me that it was like going to Tattoo University.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was just the Dutchman. It was that whole dynamic of all you guys too, right?
Yeah.
Like
it must have been neat for other artists to go into this buzz of a tattoo shop, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah.
You're walking into a hive of like just talented artists, like you guys were all producing.
Yeah,
really
and Mike's a
great
good
work.
one, like you're saying, where we're learning from others, because he actually brought his own school of tattooing when he came there. His black and gray was incredible.
Yeah.
Like really amazing black and gray, and he had like carbon needles that he was using, that he would hand wind, and just all these different techniques, So yeah, I learned a little bit from him. It is a very, very, very interesting working with Mike.
Yeah. Did he showed you how he made his needles?
He
with the thread?
He showed me, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that he didn't actually do a demonstration, but I did get, because I'm like, how are you doing that black and gray? And it was like, oh shit, I'm not even going to be able to attempt to do that. I can't take that route.
Yeah, I remember getting carbon needles, and you had to make them up the day you're working with them.
Yeah, it was a one-shot thing, and yeah.
They'd rust. Like,
Yeah, you couldn't run them through. They would rust if you got them through the clave sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And any good stories about John? John was obviously, I'm sure he became a very dear friend to you. Tell us about your friendship with John.
Well, our friendship was definitely more of like, I guess more of a mentorship. Like, there's photos of us working together. We actually did a little piece together once where I looked like his son, kind of, like it actually, it was a little bit like that. And so, yeah, the shop always had extracurricular activities, dinners. Halloween was always a massive dress up, and John always was involved with that. Like, he would have the most extravagant costumes. But you wouldn't think meeting him, because he's quite stern, and always super fun. Always super fun working there.
Yeah. Any other points to that period of your tattooing that stand out to you? It's important to me to, if there's anything that you any points that kind of pop in your mind, or.
Yeah, I think with John, he really emphasized, composition and the planes of the body, how things should, whirlwinds come out on the shoulder and step back there, and so there was a lot more involved with composition on the body, and basically that the artistic side of it was what was super important and valuable with being there.
And so, speaking of that, what's your process? So when someone comes in to get a tattoo, how does it end up being one of these pieces of artwork on your wall here?
Ideally, I would have a client come in with their idea, with their concept, and maybe some reference photos, and then we sit down and I will do a thumbnail sketch as they're telling me what they're doing. And then we shoot ideas back and forth and kind of have a little jam where I can interject some ideas and they'll be stoked on it, and then I'll take a trace of the area and do a quick line drawing of what it's going to be, and that's usually how the consultation goes. And then I will do a few more little thumbnails, a line drawing, and then enlarge that, and then come up with an actual, just a rough line drawing. I know some of these guys are a little more rendered, but usually I don't fully render a drawing whatsoever. I like to keep it kind of open so it can, I love when you can work with textures and depth in the skin. Not looking at a drawing, not working from a drawing. So my drawings usually are just like a line drawing, a suggestion, and then from there letting it develop in the skin. And that's my favorite thing, is when you actually find yourself doing textures and patterns and things that you didn't even plan.
So each piece sort of takes on its own life as you're working.
Yeah, that would be my favorite thing when it goes like that. So. Yeah, the Dutchman got so busy that, at one point we're booked up almost a year ahead, and you're booking over anniversaries and kids' birthdays, and or you get a cold, you can't reschedule people, right? So since then I tried just to go 1 or 2 months ahead. Basically everyone comes in, no matter how big their tattoo is, they get 2 appointments. And then when you come in for your first appointment, you make another second appointment, and that goes until you're sick of me or the tattoo's done.
Sure.
So I stay at 6 to 8 weeks, but it could be a year's worth of work. I don't even know, but I like to kind of just keep it at, a couple months, just so it doesn't get too overwhelming. And that's part of why I'm not part of social media and stuff. If I'm on there posting, I got time available, that means I'm out of work. And I'm calling for help.
But you're open to take on clients, you still are actively seeking clients.
Right now, how it works is that I have so many clientele from I just had my 30-year anniversary. So I have all those clients that have just continued to get tattooed. And then even now, some of them have 20-year-old kids who I'm tattooing them. And then they'll have a best friend, can I get them in? So I constantly take new people, but I haven't had to advertise or go online.
You're not soliciting for
No, yeah, exactly. That's it. So, and that's really cool. It's cool because I'm tattooing a whole new generation of like 20-year-old kids. And after COVID, I started taking on more smaller stuff, not picking and choosing so much. And I got to, it's the same as starting in the beginning. Every little tattoo you did at Sacred Heart eventually turned into a sleeve.
Yeah.
Everyone would start off with like, a realistic maple leaf, and then next thing you know, it just spreads. So I've just got to see that happen again after COVID by doing some smaller tattoos on some younger people, first tattoo, and now it's like just like completely taken off and repeated itself just by doing that, which is really cool. I have a bunch of young clients that have all they know is a coil machine, which I think is pretty cool because, most people aren't using those.
Yeah, and that's what you're using exclusively?
Yeah.
Just coils?
Yep, exclusively coils. I'm not against new technology. I'll get it eventually because I keep getting wrapped up in cords, which is driving me nuts. Intermittent clip cords and foot pedals wrapping around you. But yeah, there's a little bit of sentimentality too. Like I've been running the same. It's a Jesse Young, Lucas Ford, Dax Burnett. I've been running those machines for so many years, and they've been so faithful. There's an attachment to them, kind of. It's almost like I don't want to let them go.
Yeah.
But I think that eventually I would try out the pen.
Well, I was over talking to Chris David, and I told him that my liner machine, I had used it for so long that the coils pocketed into the armature bar.
Yeah.
And like they made like an imprint. Like it was a fairly
sizable. That's when you don't touch them. You just contact screw adjustments, and hopefully it stays like that, right?
Yeah. So what year did you move into your new space here?
Well, I left Dutchman in 2009, and then I actually had a private studio a block away from here. So I've been around since then. I had a private studio over there for about 9 years, actually. And it was a super cool space, and it was amazing because I loved the Dutchman and the hectic pace, and I really embraced that. But the first week of having a private studio, first of all, I'm like 15 minutes from home, which was pretty cool. Because John always said, spend more time with your family. I have 2 kids, that were growing up. They were born while I was there, and my son would have been like 10 or 11 at the time. And there was not a lot of time spent because you're commuting, right? I leave, they're just getting out of bed, you come home, they're in bed. So it was amazing to actually have that extra couple of hours per day and so much more drawing time. And once I got into just the silence and zen of being in a private studio, that's kind of no turning back from that. And now the thought of a hectic shop just terrifies me. Even a convention's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's good to do once in a while just to ruffle up your feathers and...
Well, you certainly put your time in that atmosphere and honed your skills. And
yeah, and it's good. I think there's a handful of customers that really love the hustle and bustle of a busy shop, and then there's, I think, a lot more that like to have their own space, and it's a cool dynamic when you have your own space like that. So that was there 9 years, and then I went and worked with Mike at Lady Luck, and went back into the shop, and I realized how much I missed that camaraderie and working with other people, and it was a super fun, super cool place to work over there. And so I was there for about 3 years.
Okay.
And then after COVID, that's when we opened this place.
Okay. Any other things, like, so what are the highlights of, what would be the highlights of your time after the Dutchman in the private studios? Anything come to mind? Any stories? Any thoughts?
Let's see here. I didn't think much about this as part of the history, but the private studio, let me think. Was there anything? The old studio was cool. It's nothing to do with tattooing, but it was a second floor one with a gigantic window, so it was a pretty cool people watching place over a busy parking lot. And my clients and myself would often find ourselves just watching the parking lot, to be fights breaking out and traffic jams and people doing all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah.
So, the private studio thing has just been great for more time to draw for me, being closer to home.
And did you find your clients, like the connection you make with clients was better in a private studio?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know
one-on-one obviously is going to be a little bit better than a room full of people, right?
Yeah. Because my clients seem to really open up. when I'm tattooing them. Like, it's because it's just me and the client. And
Yeah, so you have that extra time with your client, and you have that. But with the shop, of course, you don't have that that influence from everyone else in the room. So there's a great help in having a room full of people and everyone's feeding off each other. And that would be, I guess, the disadvantage of the private studio.
yeah,
You don't have that influence, and you have to reach out in other venues, I guess, to find inspiration. So I like to kind of go between the two. Like, I continue to do guest spots at Mike's. We have some mutual clients. We have a couple collaboration tattoos going on, so I get to go out there and hang out with people and do that. And he's always got artists coming through and stuff like that.
yeah.
He's holding the torch for the tattoo shop world for sure.